Oh, yes, yeah. I've seen it. I also seen like Sharknado.
That's one movie I've always been curious to see.
Yes.
See how like crazy
It is crazy.
crazy it is. But the fact that they have like three
Yeah, three.
Sharknadoes or
I
something
know,
like that.
crazy.
How did they get past the first one?
I have no idea.
We should. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, my YouTube videos on here.
Should be good now, right? There we go. Perfecto.
All right. Outrage. Go on my ears. Yes.
Ooh.
Ray. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Gavis Podcast, which this is our 32nd episode, and I'm your host, Gavis Solivar, and we're coming to you inside this beautiful radio station of Lancer Radio, inside this beautiful campus of Penn City College, and in the words of guys raised by ABC7, it's a beautiful day in Los Angeles. It's pretty clear skies, but at the same time, the second winds is bad, but it will last till sunny. Back to you guys raised with you tonight, 5, 6, 7 p.m. on ABC7 as we're recording this podcast. At the same time, I'll be joined by my beautiful co-host, Michelle. Happy Friday to you.
Happy Friday, David. Thank you for having me.
And at the same time, my favorite kids are back. Ricky Drew gave you a coach. My first Friday are back as well. Yes, we're back on Gary's podcast. Ricky Drew, Ricky, yeah. We're back. We're back on Gary's podcast. Fire. Yeah. This will be a great show. Again, back to you, Gary. And at the same time, we be joined by my guest, especially he's been on podcast Greek times. And ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to Gary's podcast for the full time, our boy Eriq. Welcome back, Eriq.
What's up, dude? What's up, Michelle?
What's up, Eriq?
What's up?
What's up, Eriq?
So what are the names?
Gary Jr., my Tabor kid,
Jr.
Tabor son, Ricky Jr., Ricky's son, and Franner, my fist.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you, Eriq. We go by all the time on Gary's Live. You can show Live with Gary.
So they're famous too.
Yeah, we're famous. And shout to our Lord's friend, Joy. Hi, Joy. This is for you. Thank you, Joy. All right. In any event, so Eriq. So today, we're going to talk about Iron Man, the Burrito League. See, I almost tongue twist the Burrito League. And oh my gosh, this podcast is so much fun. Again, later you go to announce your next trip here, exclusively on Gary's podcast. Hey, Eriq, are you ready?
I am.
All right, so Eriq, your first topic is Iron Man, and your first question is, what led you jump into Iron Man?
Real quick. So the last time we saw each other was when? Because I want to make sure the timeline is correct.
It was last year.
Because I don't think I did the Iron Man yet, but I believe I might have mentioned it.
You mentioned it, yeah.
Yeah.
You were going to do it.
So I was back in October, I'm assuming, if not early
Around
November. I did Iron Man Arizona. That was November 22nd, I believe, which was my third Iron Man. We had talked about it previously where I briefly mentioned my Iron Man journey. And that was all inspired by the whole Seek Discomfort stuff.
Correct.
That I mentioned before in the podcast. And yeah, the journey it's been all over the place, but it was originally inspired by Seek Discomfort, which I've been doing now for the past 5 years in competition. And last year, we're in 2026 now. It's crazy.
I know.
So 2024, I attempted to do Ironman Arizona. That didn't work out. In 2024, I was doing 3 back-to-back Ironmans. Right before Ironman Arizona, at that time it was like November 17th.
Correct.
October 20, I don't know, 5th or something like that. I did Ironman California. So within 3 weeks, I was doing 2 Ironmans, which is a lot considering that people would do 1 Ironman in their lifetime.
Right.
You know, for the people who would go down that path, or just like 1 Ironman a year. And I was trying to attempt to do 3. So when I got to the second one, Ironman Arizona, ended up not making the race, and I failed on the swim portion. And I was like, oh crap. So I was like, okay, well, I got to get my redemption and come back, which I did in last year, and which was cool. The race turned out good,
Right.
but there was a lot more pressure because it was going to be the last ever Ironman Arizona. So I had to like make sure I finished the race because I wasn't going to get another opportunity to finish the race.
Right.
But I did finish the race, which was really good. It sucked, of course. But for those who are unfamiliar with the race, it's 140 miles long.
Wow.
It's 2.5 miles, basically swimming, 112 miles cycling, and a full 26-mile marathon. And you have to do it all back-to-back under 17 hours.
Wow.
So, yeah, I did it. The swim, I ended up finishing it in like 2 hours. No, it was an hour and 55 minutes. I had 2 hours and 10 minutes to complete the swim, so I just made it with like 15 minutes to spare. The bike, I ended up getting a PR on the bike, which is really dope because what I was faced with, I didn't even have like my proper equipment. I typically have a race bike to do the races with. I didn't have a race bike for this one. I was just using my standard training bike. But somehow I was able to PR by 55 minutes or something like that.
Right.
So I shaved like a whole hour on 112 miles cycling, which is really dope.
Wow.
And then on the run, I forgot what my time was on the run, but overall I finished in 15 hours and 18 minutes or something like that, which is really cool. That was, again, November 22nd. After that, I was like, okay, let me take some time off and rest. My body was broken. I was completely tired and worn down. I know we didn't get to that question yet, but I'm going to kind of just jump the gun a little bit.
I don't mind Eric.
But that did end up being the last Ironman for right now for a little while. So Ironman Arizona, that's my last Ironman for the next couple years. But it ended up being my 3rd Ironman finish. So that's cool with that. But eventually, a couple of weeks later, I'm doing Burrito League, which is what we're going to be talking about
Yeah, we're going to talk about second topic
today.
Yes.
But yeah, that was Ironman Arizona.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
How do you mentally prepare for something like this? Because I feel like training is something like you have to do, but like mental training too.
That only comes, when once you're like in the moment itself. Like you have all those days, like we all go through that kind of, adversity when we're, doing whatever that is, right? Using school as an example, when you're having to study, you're like, oh crap, I don't want to study. I got to do homework. I got to do all this stuff. But you do it anyways. In that moment, the only way you can like get through it is just by doing it. So all those days where like, I don't want to run, I don't want to swim, and I don't want to bike, the only way I can get through is by, lacing up my shoes and, getting out there. But once the time comes, once I'm doing it and I'm tired, that's a whole nother thing. But, the same concept applies. The only way I can get through it is just by doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I just got to embrace the suck sometimes. So when you don't want to do your homework and all that stuff,
Right.
using school again as an example, you just got to
Do it.
and just sit down. Like this whole week, I was talking with some friends about it today. This whole week, Monday through Thursday, I was on campus from 10 a.m. all the way up until 9 p.m.
Wow.
And I was just the whole day on campus just working on my assignments. And I didn't want to do it. And the only way I'm able to and I still don't want to do it. I'm probably going to have to do the same thing again today. I know school closes early, but I don't want to do my work. But I just have to just sit down and just embrace the suck,
Yeah. Probably Eric.
Mm-hmm.
Speed 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Wow.
Yeah. It's not fun, but
No, it's
when
not.
you're taking
How many classes?
I'm only taking 3, but I'm doing accounting.
Oh,
So it's like, accounting, accounting sucks. But I'm doing accounting, I'm doing econ, and I'm doing some other business class. So it's not that I'm taking that many units. I'm only doing 10 units, but I'm not necessarily a business savvy person. you know,
Right.
especially when it comes to math, accounting. It's not that it's too much math. It's just I'm not a numbers guy. So it's kind of hard for me to understand. So,
Right.
yeah, but I'm trying.
Yeah, you're trying. You're trying like David Poe, who was here on the podcast last week, Michelle, and he mentioned that he's taking 7 classes, but at the same time, I think he
You didn't
dropped.
tell me that 7 classes. That's
Seven.
I know, it's so
insane.
hard. It's
That's why I
insane.
try not to complain whenever like I'm going through the suck, and I'm just like, oh man, these classes, blah 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 blah, and I'm just like hating life. And not thinking about people like that who are like
Right.
taking like so many classes and
I
stuff.
know,
Like, why am I
crazy.
complaining?
Yeah.
Because the most I ever taken at a time is like 10 units.
Right.
Now, I did do 12 units once, but I don't really count those classes. But ever since then, like, I've only ever taken 10 classes, and I'm always complaining, oh, I have so much homework, this and that.
Right.
But yeah, people like that who are taking like
Yeah.
so many units. So
Yeah, so mean.
someone always has it worse out there.
I know.
But what classes did you say you were taking? Because you're only here on Fridays.
I'm only taking the 1 class this semester.
Oh, you got it nice.
I
Lucky
do.
you.
I'm chilling. this
So
semester.
Yeah,
it's only 3 units that you're taking right now?
Yeah.
Yeah?
For this one, yeah.
Is it because you're already almost done? It's your last class, or
My
why?
well, I completed my AA.
Did you
my
already
AST.
did you already mention that?
No, I
No?
haven't.
Okay.
so-
Ooh, you heard it here first on Dave's
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah,
Congratulations,
Exclusively on David's
Michelle.
podcast.
Let's
Yes.
go.
And Michelle Bomb. Let's go, Michelle.
Yeah.
Well, congrats.
Ooh,
Yes.
David's
Go.
And David's podcast is exclusive. Only here on David's podcast. You won't find anywhere else. Thank you, Michelle.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you.
Boom, boom, boom.
Uh-huh.
Congrats, Michelle. Congrats, Michelle. Congrats, Michelle. All right. By the way, one more thing, I can David Poe, I think he might drop the advanced radio class because as we're recording this podcast, he wasn't here. So, shouts to David Poe. All right. Now, Eric, your second question is, what inspired you to become a Ironman athlete?
Yeah, again, that was through the whole seek discomfort movement. That's
Right.
what introduced me. What kept me in like doing it was it's my journey's been all over the place, and like I'm always going through like adversity and like all these different like phases where like I get to a point where like I don't want to be doing it anymore and whatnot,
Right.
and then like I'm always getting re-inspired and whatnot. But I feel like what like kind of like started that fire was the story of Chris Nikic. Chris Nikic was in 2019 he became the first person with Down syndrome to become an Ironman. And once I saw his story, I was like, geez, like, what's my excuse, for not being able to go through this path, because I have an autoimmune disease, and
Right.
all my joints are affected, and I have RA, which is rheumatoid arthritis. And I was like, yeah, I can't do this. So I ended up getting medically, like I have severe arthritis. I ended up getting medically discharged from the military. And I was like, once I saw this whole Ironman stuff pop up, I'm like, yeah, I can't do this. Like my body's breaking down. I have a lot of days where I can barely move,
Right.
put on my shoes, and just do a lot of basic life's tasks. But once I saw, Chris Nikic's story, and I was like, if you can do it, I can do it. What's my excuse? So as like life progressed and then my journey, progressed as well, I just kept on getting inspired. And, once I was already exposed to that environment, I started like meeting all kinds of people who with disabilities, doing these races, and coming across amputees who are doing the race with, no arms and, no legs. And there's once where I saw this one dude who was, I think it was his brother who had, he had ALS, I think, and he carried his brother throughout the full
Oh, yeah, I heard about
140 miles, and
Oh,
like
yes.
he was swimming. He towed his brother behind him on a boat, so he's swimming 2.5 miles with his brother on a boat, like, and he's just dragging him throughout the whole swim, and he's like,
Right.
he has him on a bike and everything like that, and I was able to see and be a part of that and witness that, and stuff like that. It always inspires me too and everything. But then, as my journey progresses, I just want to continue to like, prove to myself, that, hey, I can do these things and whatnot. Because I know if I don't, get moving now, I know in the future I'm going to get to a point where I'm not going to be able to move. So I got to make sure that I put in that effort now so I can make the most of my life, because I know at some point eventually, sadly, my body is going to break down and my disease is going to get worse and I won't be able to do what I'm doing now. So, yeah.
And what is something that you would like to tell people who want to do Ironman, but they're like, pretty hesitant about it because of something?
Yeah, I'm always having these conversations. I have a couple of friends that are like, that I'm kind of like talking to try to like do the race, and they're always like overthinking it and whatnot. It helps to at least have a foundation, having one thing that you are good at. So for me, my foundation was running. I was already a runner, so like I know like I could just rely on that, stick to running, and then eventually I can build on top of that, which what I end up doing, with swimming and biking. But don't overthink it. It is a really, not to sugarcoat or anything like that, but it is, it's a lot. It is and it's hard to even like wrap your head around it, because like I think about it, I'm like, geez, how the heck did I do it and make all this happen? But having that foundation with running, at least that's kind of what made it easier versus just not, having no foundation, with any of the events. But all you need is a pair of running shoes, right? I mean, of course, you're not going to do it, but you can get out and run barefooted if you wanted to. So don't overthink it. Get a pair of running shoes, go out and just run a couple miles. Get exposed, to, the outdoors. When it comes to swimming, you just need a gym membership, right? $20 at the gym or whatever, and go out and do a couple laps at the pool. And if you can invest in a bike, bikes can be pretty expensive. So the sport itself, it is a really, really expensive sport. I did spend over $10,000, tons of money, doing these events. So it is a big financial, pursuit as well. But yeah, you don't really have to overthink it. You just gotta get a pair of running shoes, get out there. And once you start that, eventually, the snowball just keeps on getting bigger as it rolls down. And next thing you know, you're running 5, 10, 15, 20 miles. Same thing with the swimming. You're swimming,
Right.
A couple hundred yards. Next thing you know, you're swimming a couple miles. And same thing with biking.
Wow.
So you just got to be consistent. You can have a lot of days where you're like, oh, no, I don't want to do it. Like same thing, like keep on going back to studying. Like you don't want to do your homework. You don't want to do it. Be consistent. Eventually, it starts becoming more fun. Kind of. I don't ever get those feelings with homework. It never becomes fun. But
Right.
eventually, sometimes when it comes to running and biking, when it eventually gets fun. But the more you be consistent, the more it becomes easier. So.
Yeah, it goes good advice, and hopefully people are watching on YouTube. Hopefully you take Eric's advice, especially if you want to jump to Ironman, if you're interested in running.
It is a dope. Yeah, I really do suggest going down. At least experiencing doing a marathon once in your life, or any kind of running event or biking, whatever. But it's weird because I wasn't really into sports like that growing up. So it's weird that I'm doing this now. But it's honestly changed my life in like so many different ways. Everything that I learned from it, not just like learning, different, running stuff and biking stuff, but what it took to like do that and being able to like apply what I've learned doing that and apply it to like other areas in my life. So like, with the time commitment that I put into that, I've learned to like manage, my school stuff, and apply that to this. So it's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. All right, Eric, I think you already answered the question, but my third question too is, can you tell us when's your next Ironman event and how you get ready before the event?
So I won't be doing one this year, and I haven't mentioned it, so I guess it would be a David's podcast exclusive.
Only here.
But I'll be doing Ironman Texas in 2027. So this year I'm going to be focusing on some different things, which we'll talk about when you ask the question. I think we'll be talking about that.
Yeah, Burrito League.
But it won't be till 2027. I was originally trying to do Ironman Texas this year for my 30th birthday. I'm turning 30 in April. and there's an Ironman around my birthday, and I was like, oh, that'd be really cool to do Ironman Texas for my birthday. But I'm gonna be doing something a little bit different instead. But yeah, April, I forgot when it is, but I think it's April 16th next year, 2027, Ironman Texas, which will be really cool because I am from Texas.
You are.
So yeah, I have a lot of love, for, where I come from and whatnot. So the fact that I get to do something like this, which I love, in my home state, I'm really excited for it. It's essentially going to be like my love letter to Texas and all my family. So it's going to be the first time that any of my family really from back home gets to, see me, doing these events because, my family's back in Texas. So all the events I do, they're all here. And it's always hard to get any family out here. So it's really exciting, the fact that I get to compete, back home, where my family can, be a part of it and whatnot. So, yeah, I'm excited. But 2027, Ironman Texas.
Get you here first exclusive. Here on Gabe's podcast.
For my fourth Ironman.
For his Eriq's fourth Ironman, especially south to Texas and San Antonio, Texas as well.
Yes.
All right, go ahead, Michelle.
Wait, so when you do Ironmans, do you believe, prepping, do you believe in, resting before you do it? Or do you just, still train for it?
Yeah, that's a hard thing to juggle. Rest is very important when it comes to doing this stuff. There's days where I'm putting hours, very, very long hours doing it. And, the only way your body can recover is with rest, so you have to take rest. I do try to take as much rest as I can. I did mention this before in the conversation when you asked me, how do you prep, whatever? And I remember mentioning how, I'm the worst, Ironman triathlete because I do kind of slack off a little bit in training, but I try to do what I can. So there's a lot of rest days just because I just don't want to get out there and do the work sometimes. But just in general, you do want to just rest and recover. When it comes to race week, you want to taper, so your typical mileage, throughout the week will be, 100 and something, miles a week. When it comes to race week, that's going to drop down to 20 miles, during the week. And those last couple of days, you're just going to just get a couple, they call it shakeout runs, where you're just keeping your body moving just so it doesn't become stiff, but you're not really doing much. But yeah, it's a weird thing to juggle because, you have to get out there and put in, time on your feet.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you need to recover so your body can, build and, grow your muscles and whatnot. But that's always been a thing that I've struggled to manage. And I'm even to this day out there, doing this for 5-6 years, I'm still figuring that out. So, yeah, so I'm trying, but I'm learning.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And now here comes the second topic, which it's time to talk Burrito League.
Burrito League.
Yeah, the Burrito League. And your fourth question, Eriq, which here it comes. How you got into the Burrito League?
Yeah, this whole Burrito League thing is so crazy. It just popped up on my Instagram page, and it started January 11th. But Burrito League was something that was established. I didn't do too much research, so if once I put this out and once people see all this, don't quote me on the data and whatnot. But Burrito League was established in Tucson, I believe, somewhere in Arizona, right? And it's established by these guys from this challenge from what was it? It was Chipotle. Originally, Chipotle did this challenge where it was a segment challenge, and people had to run, all these segments on a specific strip. Segments are short increment runs that on Strava, and they're specific runs you have to do. And whenever somebody runs that segment, runs that path, it gets recorded on the app, and people were getting that data. And they're submitting it to Chipotle, and whoever ran the most on that strip got, free burritos from Chipotle for for a whole year or something like that. And they got sponsored and all this other stuff. But it got too crazy, and because of liability issues, Chipotle had to, stop the challenge. Next thing you know, Burrito League is born, and these guys who got inspired that who got inspired by that Chipotle challenge, and they did their own thing. And they're like, oh, okay, well, Chipotle is this big old company, has a lot of liability issues, but we can get in contact with these local restaurants who are willing to get away with a little bit more. And they got in contact with these restaurants and asked hey, would you be willing to sponsor winners of this challenge? If these people would do this challenge, whatever, would you be willing to give up something from your establishment? And most of these establishments were restaurants. They're like, okay, well, let's call this Burrito League, and all the winners from this league get free burritos, just like it was with Chipotle. So that started January 10th in Arizona. And next thing you know, it became super popular, and everybody was like, yo, what's this, crazy thing that people are doing in Arizona? Segments, again, they're short increment runs, which end up being less than a quarter mile long. Typically for Burrito League, most of them were 0.18 of a mile, less than 1/4 of a mile long, basically. And they just had to run that back and forth. The one that ended up getting established in LA was 0.18 of a mile long.
Wow.
And some restaurant called Cafe Tropical sponsored the Los Angeles League, and whoever won, Los Angeles got, the burritos just like everywhere else. But Los Angeles ended up, getting established, but it went worldwide. And Burrito League was all over the U.S. I forgot what other countries where people started creating leagues out of, but it, became super popular. LA, again, was one of those spots, and I didn't find out about it until January 11th. That was the next day. But I saw it on Instagram, and I was like, oh, this would be really cool to do. But I was like, I was still unsure on what it even was, but I just saw everybody talking about it, and I was like, okay, this would be funny to do, but what is this? I didn't really know. But it was only going on from January 11th to the 29th, so it was only going to be a couple weeks, 2.5 weeks, something like that. But again, I just did Ironman Arizona, just at that point I only had been less than a month and a half. I think it was only 5-6 weeks. And I was still recovering. But I was like, okay, let me just get out there and let me just see what it is. And I get out there, and long story short, I end up falling in love with it, I guess, with the idea of, competing with these other people and running back and forth. And yeah, I ended up doing, to fast forward a little bit, it was less than a quarter mile long. We had to run the same strip back and forth. Ended up running 280 miles in the span of 2 weeks.
Wow.
And won third place.
Wow.
So that was really nice. It was really rough. It was my body was still recovering from Ironman Arizona, so I was surprised at the fact that I was able to stay in that long, because after the first couple of days I ended up breaking my first 100-mile plus week, doing that challenge. And the fact that I was doing hundreds of miles on that specific little, it was only 2 blocks. And it was in Silver Lake running. I don't know if y'all been to Silver Lake, but
Yeah, I have.
I had to run past Los Globos.
Yeah, Los Globos.
And it gets really packed there. So I'm running and with all this traffic, all these
Right.
cars and all this other stuff. We gotta keep track of the time.
Yeah.
But somehow I was able to do it and get third place. And yeah, I didn't win no free burritos because I didn't get first place, but I was able to win, some other merch and free pie.
Oh,
whatnot.
there's
But
good pie.
yeah.
Yeah, good.
Wait, I have a question. When you run, what do
Mhm.
you think about? Do you listen to music? Do you think about stuff that's
Yeah.
on your mind or?
No, I don't always listen to stuff because with Ironman, you're not allowed to have any music or anything.
Mhm.
So I try to do most of my training without it so I can prep. It's obviously a crutch, an aid having, music. It takes your mind off of things and makes it more enjoyable. So I try to not use it, knowing that during competition, I don't get to use it. So I always try to practice without it. But I just try to stay very aware and in the moment and try to just appreciate like my surroundings. I live in Hollywood. I do a lot of my runs and everything and training around that area. There's a lot of craziness, in that area. So whenever I'm running, if I get bored, I just look around and then there's my entertainment. Yeah, but whenever, I do get to that point where I do new music, whatever, I just put a little bit of hip hop or whatever and just get pumped up and do that. So.
Nice. All right, now, Eriq, I want to get to these questions real quick. Your first question is, where did the name came from?
Came from the whole Chipotle thing, as
Okay.
mentioned.
Yeah.
Just so they can keep that same trend going with Chipotle and whatnot, and because everybody was going to be winning free burritos,
Right.
might as well call it the Burrito League.
Nice.
So,
What
what you got, Michelle?
Oh, so yeah, I've never heard of that, but that's fun. Do you know if they're gonna come out with any more?
Yeah, so they're going to make it an annual thing. I'm sure Los Angeles will be in that conversation again as well. For sure, it's going to be going on in Tucson. But yeah, I think Los Angeles will be coming back next year as well. So maybe I'll do it, but we'll see.
Okay.
All right, Eriq, now we skip to the last topic, especially you told me a couple of weeks ago when we spoke on phone, you will announce here exclusively on Gary's podcast, especially your next upcoming trip, and can you tell our wonderful podcast viewers, especially YouTube, what's your next trip, especially from the summer?
Yeah, so in the summer, I'm going to be going back to Africa. I will be in Kenya. I'll be doing a few different things. But like I said, I'll be taking some time off from the Ironman stuff. And I'm going to be doing that so I can finally, start my journey of to doing Mount Everest. That's going to be one of my life goals right now. And I'm going to start that journey with going to Tanzania, and I'm going to be summiting Mount Kilimanjaro, which is the largest freestanding mountain in the world and the largest mountain in Africa. So I'll be doing that in June. And then from there, I'm going to be going to Kenya, which is where I was at back in 2022. I was there for a youth development project. So I'm going to be going back to kind of continue what I was doing previously. So
Nice.
Kilimanjaro and Kenya. And I was supposed to be in Qatar too, but with all the stuff that's going on,
Yeah, no worrying about me.
probably won't be there. But
No, probably
we'll
not.
see when the time comes.
Speaking of Eriq, it's going on here around. All right, go ahead, Michelle.
That's amazing goals, like those mountains and like Everest. How do you train for that differently? Like, because you have to
Yeah,
get used to that.
it's a lot of rucking. It's a lot of backpacking and just getting out into the mountains and doing a lot of altitude training. Kilimanjaro's there's a big portion of it where you're above. I forget what the altitude was, where you experience altitude sickness, and that's where a lot of people struggle. So it's just a lot of getting out there in the mountains and those rough environments, and just getting used to it.
You're living it up. I love that.
I'm trying to, but
You're doing
it's
great.
it's draining my wallet and everything. So it's a lot. But,
Eriq, real quick, 50 seconds. Is this your first time going to Africa, and especially Kenya that you just mentioned?
yeah, no, this will be my second. I was again there back in 2022. I was there this time back in 2022 because right now I'm getting all those memories on my pictures and social media and whatnot. I was there this time then, and I'll be going there, and I'll be there from June to August. I'll be there for a couple months. So it'll be my second time, and I don't think it'll be my last time either. I'm sure I'll be going back, after that. So, yeah.
All right. I'll go ahead and mention real quick.
Well, I just want to say good luck with everything, and
Thank
I
you,
hope you have a
thank you.
lot of fun and enjoy
Yeah,
it.
hope so too.
Yeah, we hope
Appreciate
you
you.
have a lot of fun. And Eriq, like I said, this was a lot of fun, especially
Appreciate you.
and I want to thank you for stopping by for Gary's Podcast for the fourth time. And
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's always fun.
anytime, it's always a lot of fun with you, especially my favorite kids, Ricky Jer, Gabby Jer, and Frank. Thank you for being back on Gary's Podcast. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Jess, for having us back on Gary's Podcast. It was so much fun.
Tell me by fast.
Thank you, Ricky Jer. This was so much fun. And thank you, Eric. Thank you, Michelle. And we will be back next time, Gary's Podcast. Thank you, Gabby Jer. Thank you. All right, back to you, Gabby. All right, everyone, I want to thank you for watching this episode of Gary's Podcast, especially our 32 episode, and again, we will see you, again, probably we will see you in 2 weeks, or not sure, we will be back next week, especially next Friday, PCC, will have much schedule, so I'll keep you updated on my YouTube show, and everyone, have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you next time on Gary's Podcast, right here.
Bye.
Time went by so fast.
Yeah.
Because we started at 2:10 or something like that.